Hey everyone, this is Travis Rusko with Teen Quest. You guys can check us out online at teenquest.org. We're also on Facebook and Twitter. Today I'm here with our friend Kevin Eichhorn. He's with Hope Lutheran Church in Sunbury, Ohio. Kevin, thanks for stopping by today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, Kevin, if you could just take a moment or two here today to describe your youth group and what you guys have going on right now at the church, some things you've been getting into here lately.
I started about a year and a half ago at Hope Lutheran. I came from a much bigger church, and at a smaller youth group now. And in the last year, we've actually merged two youth ministries in the area with the same problem: small church, small youth group. So we've merged in the last year to one youth group meeting weekly with different guys groups and girls groups, which has been working out really well. But we're about a church of 100 people in both of our congregations, and a youth group of about 20 people. And we've just been diving into different Bible topics, trying to stay much more scripture-oriented instead of just going for the fluffy stuff, and really digging into the kids' lives instead of just letting them come to us. We've been trying to go to them.
Great, great. That as you were mentioning, talking about, and I didn't necessarily have this prepared for today, but you had mentioned two smaller churches combining, and I'm seeing a lot of need for that. In fact, recently I was talking with a guy that he was telling me he was thinking that maybe their youth group won't even be around this time next year just because they're a smaller church, smaller group, and was sharing the importance of of smaller churches collaborating with one another and working together. Was that coming to that place, was that difficult to figure out how to make that work and how to mesh them together, or was it a pretty seamless operation for you guys?
Yeah, it was a little bit of a growth period for the other congregation. I had been hired part-time for the one congregation. I'm usually a full-time youth director, and I was hired part-time by one church. And then over the course of the year, the other church was looking at it as an option to hire me the other part-time to make it a full-time position, but it just wasn't in their budget. So what I did is I just started inviting their youth group to everything because they had lost their youth director with some church politics,
Mm-hmm.
if I can say that.
Yeah,
And
sure.
how it worked out was that we ended up merging for just youth nights, and then we started merging for mission trips, and then we started merging for service projects, and we really started to merge it into everything. And now if you ask the students, we're one youth group. If you ask parents, it's a Living Word youth group or a Hope youth group. But in my eyes, we're children of God, and one youth group or two youth groups, I don't really care,
Mm-hmm.
as long as we're getting into each other's lives, and the kids are starting to see each other at school and to recognize each other. It's been not the easiest transition into it because there still wants that separation. But we take turns. We will meet at one church, then we'll meet at the other church. And you do have to be respectful, though, because you can't say, well, we're having a church picnic and we want your entire church to come. But you can say we're having a church youth group function and we want your church to come. So
Yeah.
it's a balance.
Yeah. Were there, and again, not necessarily something I had prepared for today, but were there different resources that you found helpful, maybe that, or different, some things that might be helpful to somebody that is in that kind of situation? You're trying to merge some groups together. Anything that you've come across through this process that maybe you could recommend to somebody might be helpful for them to get their hands on?
I don't know if it's a resource per se, but it's definitely the core fundamental values that I've always used in youth group is that you have to equip a leader no matter what. So if I was just the leader at both churches, we'd be falling apart. But I started to equip the 20-somethings in both churches to start to take on some of the responsibility. Started to equip parents to start to take on some of the responsibility for preparing the meal at one church, and then parents to prepare the meal at my church. So meaning that if it was just me doing everything, it would look really unorganized, really just kind of thrown up in the air. But since we're starting to have teams on both sides of the fence, they're starting to work together a lot more seamlessly. Where it's as if one church was just responsible for everything, then it'd be like, oh, you're just coming to my event, you're just coming to my event, but
Mm-hmm.
it's our event. So you have to equip both people, and you have to push for somebody to take a role at each church, not just one church taking all the responsibilities. So that has been a little bit difficult to get somebody to take the lead in the other church. But in my home church, though, they've been really welcoming for it. So
Okay, great. Well, when we do these chats with people in youth ministry, we like to take a couple minutes to talk about challenges that people may be facing in their ministries, and ways that you're working to to overcome those kind of challenges. And of course, this that we just shared about was a great example of one that I think is relevant to a lot of youth ministries that are looking to maybe combine with another church to keep things running. But are any other challenges, any other things over the past few months that's kind of been a process that you've been going through, and maybe you can share about ways that you've kind of overcome those challenges or are working to.
Yeah, definitely. My biggest challenge, and this has always been a problem in my ministry, is to reach the unchurched in my or the church, but not there every Sunday kind of people. And we just did an evaluation process, which I highly recommend. That if you've never been criticized, then you're not doing it right at your church. We had our elders just take a moment to not share the good things that we were doing, but to go on what they thought we could be doing. And it was a really humbling experience to hear that I wasn't just loved by everything, that I needed to work on certain things. And the one thing that did push was where's that student that hasn't been here in a year? Where's that student that's only comes once a month? How are you reaching that student? So that has been my biggest challenge in the youth group, is not just to focus on, yay, I got 20 people coming, great. They had 5 before me, now they got 20. You don't pat yourself on the back. You say, why? Well, where are the other 12 that really need this? The 20 that are coming probably already know Christ, and they already know God, and that they already have that relationship. So the biggest challenge for me is to start to pray for, to start to equip, and to enable some relationships to be formed outside of the church.
Okay. What about and again, this may tie in with what you were talking about earlier, but just a learning process maybe that you've had over the past few months. Is there one major thing that you feel God maybe back in 2012 was teaching you, that if you having the opportunity now to share it and to give some advice to other guys and other ladies that are in youth ministry, a learning experience from the past few months?
Definitely with student leadership. I've seen the fruits from taking that extra opportunity to sit one-on-one with, for me, it's the guy students, and I equipped another a female leader to take on the female students. Is that big mistakes in the past is just focusing as the group as a large instead of following the Jesus 3:12 principle, where you work on 3 students to work with the other 12, and the 12 to work on the congregation kind of mentality. So my biggest mistakes or learning process was not just how am I going to reach everybody? My mistake was, how am I going to just reach 3 people or 1 person in particular? So what I did is started to focus on one individual in my youth group, and to spend extra time with them, even if we weren't necessarily talking about anything church related. We started to focus much more just on building that relationship. So when I do have an event come up or a Bible study, I'm able to call on the student and to be able to say, hey, since we've been talking, I feel confident that you could lead this. But in the past, that was probably my biggest struggle, was to focus on that 1 student or 3 students, to spend much more time with them so that they could then teach the rest of the flock, I guess you could say.
Yeah, rather than trying to reach out to everybody all at once, which
Yep.
I was talking with a guy this past weekend at snow camp, and it kind of seems like he was saying a lot of the same things that you are, and I felt like he had a really neat dynamic in his group, because he was sick on Saturday night, and the kids were still going to be up for several hours, and he's gotten to the point where he's got enough student leaders in his group where he was able to go to some 8th graders and to some 9th graders and just and ask them to kind of keep an eye on things, make sure people are staying under control, because he just could not stay up for the rest of the night. And then he was able to go to some of the older teens, the 11th graders and the 12th graders, and even give them a little bit more detailed instructions. But he told me, he was like, I was able to go to bed that night. I was feeling really rough, and I was just able to have total confidence. He said, I didn't even talk to my other adult leaders. He said, I was able to just talk to the kids. I didn't even have to go to the adults, and I just knew that everything was going to be taken care of by those kids, which I think is a
Yeah,
pretty cool thing.
that's a huge thing to be able to rely on your students because the student leaders, I have student leaders in my school and student leaders in my youth group where I respond to them almost better than I respond to certain adults because they're just so willing to do the ministry and their hearts are on fire where the adults trying to justify, well, this will be awkward or this will be this, and I don't know if I can do that where the students jump right in.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Kevin, thanks for getting with us for a few minutes today and just sharing about some things that are important for other people in youth ministry to hear about. I just wanted to take a minute and see how people could find out more about your church or get plugged in with your church, where you guys are at, maybe a website, or if you guys are on Twitter or Facebook, or if you personally are on Twitter or Facebook or have a youth page, some ways that people can get more information.
Yeah, we haven't jumped into that Facebook, Twitter scene yet, just because we're still so small. But we communicate a lot just via text message and websites. So our website is hopelutheransunbury.org, and that's Sunbury SUNBURY. So hopelutheransunbury.org. We meet the first and the third Sundays of each month with our junior high and high school together. We're about 30 minutes north of Columbus, so we're all Buckeye fans up here, unfortunately for some people. But yeah, we've been pretty consistent with that. We've been meeting with other churches as well, and just inviting everybody, including some of the students from my inner city school, where we're able to connect with that. So about 30 minutes north of Columbus, hopelutheransunbury.org.
Okay. Well, hey, Kevin, thanks so much for coming out and talking with us today.
Thanks, Travis.